Central. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive the all-new 1987 Nissan Sentra at your Nissan dealer now. By Burger King. Come on in for breakfast and try a mouth-watering croissant sandwich. By Ivory. There's a pure, natural kind of clean when you lather up with Ivory. By RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC. And by Delta Airlines. Delta gets you there. In St. Louis, Missouri, tonight the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals. And pitching for the Mets tonight, the doctor, Dwight Gooden, who is 2-0 on the year with an ERA of 1.73. On the mound for the Cardinals, it's left-hander Rick Horton, who's 0-1 with an ERA of 1.84.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie, all set for the second game of this four-game series. The Mets winning last night in extra innings. Last year, the Mets and Cardinals played 18 ball games. The Cardinals won 10, the Mets won 8. Of those 18 ball games, 8 of them were extra inning ball games, and 12 of them were one-run ball games. So far this year, these two teams have met twice. They have both been extra inning ball games. And for the Mets, it's Dwight Gooden on the mound. Last year with a record of 24-4, and he is the man the Mets look forward to continue their 6-game winning streak.
And he's got a tough opponent, too. The second time this year that Dwight Gooden has drawn Ricky Horton, or is that the other way around? Ricky Horton faced the Mets opening day at Shea last week, actually, a week from this past Monday. He gave up only 1 run and 2 hits in 7 innings and pitched a masterful ball game. So it should be a low-scoring ball game tonight, as it often is when Dwight Gooden pitches.
And we'll be back with this ball game in just a moment, right after this message from Busch Beer. Ricky Horton with a record of 0-1. He has no record against the Mets this year. He worked 14 2/3 previous innings, 9 hits, no home runs. He has walked 8 and given the batters a strikeout pitch 9 times. So Ricky Horton against the Mets with an earned run average of 1.84.
And the Met lineup this evening, Kevin Mitchell leading off and playing center field. Second baseman Tim Tuffle batting second. Keith Hernandez in that normal 3-hole and playing first. Catcher Gary Carter will hit fourth. Darryl Strawberry in right field batting fifth. George Foster with 3 hits in the game-winning RBI in last night's game batting sixth. Ray Knight playing third and batting seventh. Rafael Santana, the shortstop, hitting eighth. And Dwight Gooden on the mound.
So Ricky Horton getting set to pitch to the leadoff batter, Kevin Mitchell. Kevin playing in center field, batted .290 at Tidewater last year with 9 home runs, 43 RBIs. So far this year, he's had 5 hits and 15 times up, a .333 batting average, and the fastball is fouled back. Mitchell alternating in center field with Len Dykstra. Dykstra playing against right-hand pitching, and the off-speed pitch is outside to count 1 ball and 1 strike. Horton with a lifetime record of 12 wins and 6 losses, and no lifetime record against the Mets. And it's a swing and a miss, 1-2. Deck batter for the Mets, Tim Tuffle. One of the assets of Ricky Horton is the fact that he has one of the great moves to first. And this one fouled away. We'll make a correction on his record against the Mets. Rick's only career decision against the Mets was a 6-3 win in St. Louis on June 17th, 1984. Davey Johnson, the manager of the Mets, in his 3rd year. And the fastball, 2-2 the count.
Ken Daly came in the game last night and struck out pinch hitter Kevin Mitchell on an inside fastball, and that's where Ricky Horton went.
Hard ground ball, base hit. So Mitchell singles to start off the ball game.
One thing Kevin Mitchell has shown is no fear as a young hitter. See the inside fastball, and now you get one away, and he goes right out there and buggy whips it to left. I mean, that was one of those worm burners.
So a runner on, and the the Mets in stolen bases this year have had 9 out of 13 attempts. And Tuffle, the batter. Tuffle hitting .226, no home runs, 5 RBIs.
Ricky Horton with an outstanding move to first base.
Well, he can get you between pats.
He has got an outstanding, one of the finest left-handed, and that's it right there. Picked off 5 runners last year and only had a 3-2 decision, so he matched his pickoffs with his decisions last year.
And it's a breaking ball for a swinging strike, strike 1. Tuffle hit .260 for the Minnesota Twins last season. That included 10 home runs and 50 runs batted in. There's a move to first base. That's not as good one.
That's also not the way to lead off the base either. You saw Kevin Mitchell out toward right field, and anytime you're running from first to second, you got to run in the baseline as opposed to getting outside.
And Tuffle goes after another one in the strike 2. The shortest line between 2 points is a straight line.
Right. You don't really start to make your turn if you're going to go from first to third until you get about 12 feet from second base. 4 strides, then you swing out if you can determine the ball's a base hit to the outfield.
Got an extra step in there he has to take to get back to the bag. And that one in the dirt. Good block on it by Lavalier. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tuffle with 5 runs batted in. And strike 3. So Horton picks up a strikeout. His first in the ballgame.
And a good fastball low and away. Abner Doubleday used to say high, tight, low and away. This one out of the strike zone. Good low heat right there, and a good 1-2 pitch. Chance for a pitcher to throw a ball out of the strike zone, hoping that hitter can swing at it, and that's what Tim Tuffle did.
And it brings up Keith Hernandez. Keith hitting .267 so far this year with no home runs and 5 RBIs. Last year, Keith hit .309 with 10 home runs and 91 runs batted in. And, of course, Keith Hernandez greeted with mixed emotions here in St. Louis. He was a great ball player for the Cardinals. He looks low and it's ball 1. Keith, the MVP and the National League batting champion for St. Louis.
That was back in 1979 when he shared the MVP award with Pops, Willie Stargell, who's now a first base coach for Atlanta.
Throw to first base. Only time that they had a split MVP award in the history of the award.
Since 1931, the first MVP, Frankie Frisch, for these St. Louis Cardinals.
And a strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike. Keith did not like the call. Home plate umpire is Fred Brocklander. Umpire at first base, Lee Wire. The umpire at second, Dutch Rendered. And the umpire at third is Ed Montague. Gary Carter, the on-deck batter. And the fastball is missed. So the count on Hernandez, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Throw to first base. Ricky Horton, born in Poughkeepsie, New York. Ground ball right at Tommy Herr. Should be a double play. And it is. Herr to Smith to Clark, and that'll do it. 1 hit, no one left on base to score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets nothing, the St. Louis Cardinals coming up. Now here's a word from Oldsmobile. Dwight Gooden on the mound for the Mets. Dwight with a record of 2-0. No decisions against the Cardinals so far this year. He has worked in 3 previous ball games with 2 complete games, 26 innings pitched, 17 hits, 1 home run, 22 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Dwight Gooden on the mound for the Mets.
And the lineup for the fleet-footed Cardinals. Vince Coleman leading off. Willie McGee, the center fielder, batting second. Tom Herr at second base, hitting third. Jack Clark, the first baseman, will hit fourth. followed by Andy Van Slyke, the right fielder. Terry Pendleton, the switch-hitting third baseman, batting sixth. Mike Lavalier is the catcher. He'll bat seventh. Ozzie Smith, another switch hitter, will play short and hit eighth, and Ricky Horton on the mound. Interesting to note, Ralph, that the Cardinals have 5 switch hitters in the lineup.
And in their overall lineup, they have 7, the most in the National League. Here's Vince Coleman. Coleman, the Rookie of the Year last year, hitting .241 this year with no home runs and 3 runs batted in. He has 4 stolen bases in 4 attempts this year. Last year, he set a rookie record with 110 stolen bases. He has not had a stolen base in his last 7 ball games, and he pulls the first pitch foul.
The longest he went without a stolen base last year was 5 games.
And yes,
excuse me, Ralph, a little shaky start for all the Cardinal hitters, and one big reason Vince Coleman hadn't been stealing a lot of bases. He's hitting .241, but he's had a lot of extra base hits, too.
he has had a total of 3 doubles and 2 triples out of his 13 base hits. Coleman in last night's ball game, 1 for 4. And Gooden misses with a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dwight with a lifetime record of 43 wins and just 13 losses. In his last 47 game starts, he is 34-5 with an earned run average of 1.45. And the curveball, it's high, 2-1. Lefty Grove had a record in a single season of 31-4. And the fastball hit right at Santana. A little looping line drive, so Coleman hits it in the air, and he is out.
A lot of hitters try to get out in front of that fastball, and Coleman was so far out in front of it that he hit it off the end of the bat. And that's what you see happen with Dwight Gooden. You don't see Dwight Gooden jam too many guys because guys are so conscious of getting that bat out to either swing through it, hit it on the good part of the bat rarely, but hit it off the end of the bat a lot.
And now it's Willie McGee. He gets a curveball on his first pitch. It's strike 1. McGee, the MVP last year in the National League, led the league in hitting last year at .353 and hitting .232 so far this year with 2 home runs and 8 runs batted in. Gooden's fastball, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. McGee also led the National League in base hits with 216 and in 3 base hits with 18. In last night's ball game, Willie McGee with 2 base hits and 5 times up. And this ball hit out of play. The count 1-2. McGee started his major league career, actually started his professional career in the Yankee organization. One of the great trades for the Cardinals.
Bob Sykes for Willie McGee back in 1982.
And the curveball, did he swing at it? Harder after it. They check on the call, the appeal by the third base umpire, and no sign is given by Ed Montague. Now, if that had been strike 3, of course, McGee could take off for first base. They'd have to retire him on a throw to first base before he got there.
A lot of times you can change the mind of that third base umpire by staying at home, and that's what Willie McGee was trying to do. It looked like he held up. Montague made the right call.
And back again with that curveball. Again, it bounces away. So the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Willie McGee. Gooden having trouble getting his curveball over here in the first inning.
In 26 innings, Dwight Gooden has walked only 4 while striking out 22. We've said it time and time again. That's one of the amazing things about him. Usually a strikeout to base on ball ratio is about 4-1. Better than that so far this year.
And the fastball, strike 3 call. So McGee struck out, first strikeout for Dwight Gooden.
See, this is that sailing fastball and on the hands, right about waist high. What happens on that pitch? Mel Stottlemyre was telling me before the game, Gooden puts the pressure on the middle finger, and all he does, he cuts that ball just a little bit, and it acts like a slider, even though he doesn't call it a slider, but it's just a little sailing fastball. Pressure on that middle finger, and that's what that pitch was.
So now 2 men away, and Tommy Herr, the batter. Herr hitting at 133, has no home runs and 2 runs batted in. And what a year he had last year. And he takes for ball 1. Batted .302 with 8 home runs and 110 runs batted in. One for 4 in last night's ball game. And the fastball catches that inside corner in the count 1-1. Gooden, the Cy Young Award winner last year with his 24-4 year. He won the Triple Crown of pitching, the best earned run average in the league, the most wins in the league, and also the most strikeouts. And it's fouled away.
He was the first guy to do that since Sandy Koufax did it back in 1966.
What about Steve Carlton?
Nope, Steve didn't in 72?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Steve Carlton in 72 won 27.
And led in strikeouts and earned run average.
Mm-hmm. 1-2 the count, and it's bounced up the middle. Over there is Tuffle, and he makes the play, and the Cardinals out in order. So a 1-2-3 inning, and the score at the end of 1. It's the Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. Now here's a word from Purolator. Jersey and Connecticut Ford dealers. And we're going to the top of the second, no score. Gary Carter, the leadoff for the Mets. He brings a 10-game hitting streak into the game. Average overall at .356. He has 2 home runs and 15 RBIs. Tied for the National League lead in RBIs with Jeff Leonard of the San Francisco Giants. Carter in that 10-game hitting streak, batting .381. In last night's ball game, Carter 2 for 5, and the fastball by Ricky Horton, ball 1. Carter last year hit .281 with 32 home runs and 100 RBIs. And a strike call, 1-1. Near capacity crowd here tonight. Last night's ball game, a paid crowd of 33,597. And a strike 2, 1-2 to Gary Carter. Carter followed by Darryl Strawberry and George Foster.
I guess it'd be normal for me to miss that 1972 season with Steve Carlton, right? I'm not real familiar with him as a pitcher.
And it's a half-check swing, the appeal, and that'll do it. So Carter struck out on the check swing.
You mentioned Steve Carlton. This is an old Steve Carlton slider. And Gary Carter is familiar with that. As you see that dying slider from Ricky Horton. And that check swing. This guy has one of those breaking balls that starts the moment the ball leaves its hand. It's easy to pick up, but hard to follow.
And Darryl Strawberry bounces the first pitch right back to Horton, and Darryl is out. Strawberry before the out hitting .244 with 1 home run, 5 RBIs.
Some play by Ricky Horton. Had he not fielded this ball, it would have been tough play for Tommy Herr.
And it brings up George Foster. Foster hitting .314. He has no home runs and 4 runs batted in. Drove in the winning run in last night's ball game. Foster singled with 2 men out in the 10th inning to drive in Wally Backman. Backman had walked and stolen second base. Foster, a .268 batter last year with 21 home runs and 71 RBIs. And the fastball is strike. Strike 2, right back with a fastball. George Foster, a former most valuable player, and it's grounded out to third base. Penalty Hamilton in the dirt with his throw, but Clark digs it out, and the Mets go in order. And the score at the end of 1.5, the Mets nothing, the Cardinals nothing. Now here's a word from Ford. For many, many years, coming in for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph. Jack Clark leads it off for the Cardinals. Jack with 2 home runs this year. And that's exactly how many home runs he has off of Dwight Gooden. Homered on the first pitch in a Cardinal uniform on opening day of '85 against Gooden. No score, bottom of 2. Breaking ball and a beauty, 0-1.
2 home runs that Clark has hit off Gooden have been off fastballs.
High fastball, and Santana can't get to it. So Jack Clark has the first hit of the ball game, and the batter will be Andy Van Slyke.
Well, after the curveball, Gooden came back with a fastball. Clark a little bit behind it, but still that kind of a hitter with that beautiful recoil on the swing. As you look at it there, gets on the plane of the ball and hits it right by Santana. You could see that he was behind the pitch because he never got his weight shifted up on his front foot.
Andy Van Slyke batting .219, and he's 2 for 8 against Met pitching this year. Jack Clark at first, nobody out. Curveball is low. Good play by Carter, 1-0.
We mentioned that Dwight Gooden won the Cy Young Award. Phil Pepe tells a story about talking to one of the Yankee players, Bobby Mercer, and mentioning the fact that Cy Young won 511 ball games. And Bobby Mercer responded by saying, did he win the Cy Young?
He won the Dwight Gooden Award.
Cy Young with 511 victories in his major league career, the most by anybody, and also he had the most losses, 313.
And a foul ball. It's 1-1. The Cy Young Award started back in 1956. Don Newcomb of the Brooklyn Dodgers was his first Cy Young Award winner. And up until 1967, they gave the Cy Young Award for they gave only one for both leagues. Sandy Koufax won it 3 times and
could have won it more.
63, 5, and 6. Yeah, if they had given it for just the National League pitcher. Of course, he didn't really come into his own until 1961, but he was probably the most dominating pitcher that the game has ever seen over a 6-year period. Fastball is low, 2-1.
They went to 2 winners in 1967 when Mike McCormick won it in the National League and Jim Lomborg won it in the American League. 68, Bob Gibson won it, and Denny McLean won it in the American League.
You mentioned the tie for the MVP in '79. I believe in '69 was the only tie for the Cy Young Award when Mike Cuellar and Dennis McLean won it in the American League. Tom Seaver, of course, in the National League. The year of the Mets. That's what they're hoping this year. 2-1 to Van Slyke. Grounded foul. Dwight Gooden likes to pitch Van Slyke inside. Van Slyke has a tough time with that pitch because he carries that bat below the letters. Usually guys who pick that bat up above the head can handle that high pitch, can get on top of it. But we'll take a look at Andy Van Slyke's hands. They're right around that number. Any minute now. It's a Mike Hargrove at bat.
Isn't it, though?
Call Mike Hargrove, the ex-Cleveland Indian, the human rain delay.
George Foster used to be the worst in the National League, but he's gotten a little better.
Yeah, he has. Curveball got him. Second strikeout for Dwight Gooden. 1 away.
Well, Dwight throwing more curveballs earlier in this ball game than he normally does, and this is a beauty. And right there you see the position of the hands of Van Slyke as he follows the ball right into the glove.
See that front side open up too, Ralph. Once that front side leaves, hitters are left only with their arms. Here's Terry Pendleton batting 196. Ball one.
And you pointed out that he carries his hands down low in there, and so he has nowhere to go with his arms. If his arms were back and up, he could still muscle it out.
Got to have a trigger. What hitting instructors don't like is to have your trigger up and down. That is the classic hitch. You want to trigger back, but not too far back.
Down is all right if you get back up.
But you don't have but, you know, less than a second to determine. Send your hands through all that stuff. 2-0 to Terry Pendleton.
It's incredible the time you have. 2/5 of a second from the time the ball is delivered to you.
Lined off the glove of Tuffle. Clark's going to go to third. And what could have been a double play ball went off the heel of Tim Tuffle's glove. And the Cardinals have runners at the corners and only one out.
Well, we'll look at it again. This ball should have been fielded. Tuffle's there, but he had the glove in the wrong place. It must have skidded off that artificial turf. And he missed red where the ball was going, and it's off his glove. So what could have been a double play is scored as a base hit. And now runners at first and third with one man out.
Batter Mike Lavaliere. Mike with a base hit in last night's game. Infield in double play depth. No score. Bottom of the second, but the Cardinals are threatening. Pendleton with good speed at first base.
They call
1-0 to Mike Lavaliere.
They call Mike Smokey. Can you wonder why? Do you have an idea?
Not because he has 145 career pinch hits.
Smokey Burgess, same body build as Smokey Burgess, the outstanding hitter that played in the National League.
Little open stance. Remember Smokey? Toe slightly pointed toward the pitcher.
Dropped that bat down in a circle and got it back up and really could hit.
Boy, he could hit. Throw to first base. We'll see if Pendleton runs. He had 17 stolen bases last year and a couple this year. The Cardinals have been thrown out only 3 of 25 attempts. Gooden, on the other hand, with an improved move to first base. He picked off 4 last year. Ground ball to Hernandez. Could be 2. There's 1, 2. A 3-6-3 double play. And Hernandez turns it better than anybody I've ever seen. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 left. After 2, no score. We go to the third after this word from Nissan.
Well, Mike Lavaliere ended the last inning by hitting into a double play. Keith Hernandez, who has won 8 gold gloves, takes his time. He knows he has plenty of time, makes a very accurate throw to Santana, and back to Hernandez on the 3-6-3 double play to end the inning.
I thought that rolling block was outlawed 2 years ago. Terry Pendleton with that rolling block into Santana. But he was not called out, but the return throw got Lavaliere easily, and Ray Knight the batter. Ray off to a good start. 4 home runs and 8 RBIs, batting .379. Strike 1 from Ricky Horton. The Mets with a hit, and the Cardinals with 2 hits. Dwight Gooden against Ricky Horton for the second time in the last 10 days. Hit well to right field, but Van Slyke is there, and he makes the out. 1 away.
Well, the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on Channel 9 when the New York Rangers face off with the Washington Capitals. Catch all the action tonight. Immediately following the Mets.
Rafael Santana, the batter. Rafi 5 for 40 on the year, batting .125, off to a shaky start. But it's a long, long season. The Mets winners of 6 in a row. The Cardinals have lost 4 in a row. So in the last week, the Mets have picked up 5 games on the Cardinals. Ground ball, base hit, left field. First hit of the 86 season for Santana against the Cardinals. And the batter will be Dwight Gooden.
The longest slump by a Met player in their history, dating back to 1962, 0 for 34. Don Zimmer went 0 for 34, and so did Tommy Agee. But Santana picking up his 6th base hit of the season, and the Mets have a runner on for Dwight Gooden.
Well, there's no surety that Dwight Gooden will be bunting here. Led the Mets pitchers with 21 hits last year, and it's 2 for 8 this year.
Santana not a base stealer on at first base.
Another good pickoff move by Ricky Horton. He has got a good one.
Dwight Gooden has a pool to win, as does Ron Darling, Rick Aguilera, Sid Fernandez. They've all pooled some money to see who hits the first home run.
And it is bunted, and Fred Brocklander pointing that he did stay in the box as the ball came up to hit him, so it's 1-1.
Dwight moves out here and bunts the ball. It bounces right up and gets him in the batter's box. If it got him in fair territory, he would be out.
Outfield shaded around toward right center. This is a type of guy that Dwight can pull, however. He's going to bunt. And it's a beauty. Horton will have to hurry. Got him at first.
I'll tell you, Tim, I don't know how he bunted that ball.
I don't either.
I mean, you got to have some sort of bat control. Look where this ball is. He's almost like a cricket player. Takes that ball right off the ground and bunts it perfectly out to the first base side. And Horton had to hustle to get him. So the sacrifice puts a runner in scoring position and brings up Kevin Mitchell.
Ricky Horton 0-1 on the year. He has worked 14 2/3 innings. This is his 3rd game that he started. And he's given up only 3 earned runs. Kevin Mitchell singled his first time up. No score, top of the 3rd. 2 outs, the Mets with a chance to play the number. Ball 1. A few empty seats here at Busch Stadium, but not many. Ripped and foul. So it's 1-1. Kevin with a couple of doubles to his credit, 2 RBIs. Very, very strong. Ground ball. What a play by Pendleton. My goodness. Got him at first. Terry Pendleton robs the Mets of a run and Mitchell of an RBI single.
Well, Pendleton just does get the ball in the webbing of his glove. A good play there to save a run.
No runs, a hit and 1 left after 2.5. No score. We'll be back after this word from Metropolitan Light.
I never realized the world was so full of hazards. That's why there's a company like MetLife, because sometimes things do get out of control. Hey! That's why over 43 million people look to Met to be there when things go wrong. That's why you should get Met. It pays.
Jonathan, where did you get those wristbands?
My best friend, Tim McCarver.
Tim, can I get a pair of these Mets wristbands for my son? Well, Darryl, I don't happen to have another pair right now, but the Mets will be more than happy to give your son and any youngster 14 years of age and under who attends the Mets-Cincinnati Reds game on Saturday, May 10th, a pair of Mets wristbands, courtesy of our good friends at Starter. That's right. All kids 14 years old and under will receive a pair of Mets wristbands courtesy of Starter on Saturday, May 10th at 1:35. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets, or you can call 718-507-TIXX for more information. Hey, Jonathan, you think I could borrow your wristbands for the game?
No.
Well, folks, as you probably know, the 1986 season marks the silver anniversary of the Mets franchise, and to commemorate this landmark anniversary, the Mets have put together a sleek 25th anniversary book entitled The New York Mets, the First Quarter Century. This is the official 25th century book of the Mets, and it says so right on the silver cover. The book is a hardbound volume of the Mets history told in candid color, action-packed photographs, and engaging essay, compiled and written by noted baseball historian Donald Honig. To get your copy of the Mets' official 25th anniversary book, send a check or money order made payable to the New York Mets for $17.95 plus $3 for shipping and handling. That's $20.95 to Promotion Graphics, Department L, 160 Varick Street, New York, New York. And here's Ozzie Smith in the bottom of the third. What a yacker that was, 0-1. Good curveball to start Smith off. He's batting .310. Another curve, 1-1.
Throwing a lot more curves than he normally does, and that could mean that Carter doesn't believe that his fastball is as explosive as it should be.
Good in 3-2 against the Cardinals' lifetime. Tough ball club for him for good reason.
Contact hitters, they don't strike out much, and of course when they get on base they can run. Ozzie Smith, one of the toughest to strike out in the National League.
Fastball is high, 3-1. The type of night that Dwight Gooden loves. It's about 83 degrees. Broke a record here in St. Louis today with a 93-degree reading. Ground ball toward Hernandez. Backs up, throws him out. So with one out, the batter Ricky Horton.
Channel 9 presents the film that swept the Academy Awards. Don't miss Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert in the classic comedy It Happened One Night, presented with limited commercial interruption Monday night at 9.
And the Mets hoping that it will happen tonight. Claudette Colbert. It's a great name, isn't it? Claudette Colbert, alliterative.
She's still a beautiful woman.
Ricky Horton takes a strike, 0-1. Outfield way around toward left. Foster almost on the line in left field. Here you see George. Kevin Mitchell now moving back toward center to retrieve a balloon.
And if you're wondering if a player can be in foul territory, you cannot. The only person who can be in foul territory is the catcher. You cannot start out in foul territory.
Ground ball up the middle, through for a base hit. That is the second ball that has gotten by Rafael Santana right to his left. And Ralph, we brought this up in spring training about how Santana really plays in that hole over there.
Well, the ball hit against the shift. And you don't figure that Horton can pull Dwight Gooden at all, and he does manage to get it to the left side of Rafael Santana for the base hit. His first hit of the year, he's now 1 for 4. And on this hot evening, Horton puts on the jacket.
You love that, don't you? You just want to see me react.
One of Tim McCarver's pet peeves.
Well, I guess that he's thinking that it's April, so it should be cold. I really can't understand that, nor have I ever been able to understand that.
Wearing that jacket impedes your running.
Sure it does. You're a base runner.
heavy wind blowing here tonight.
That's right. You don't want to catch a chill in this frigid 83-degree temperature. Coleman, the batter. 0-1. Coleman lined to Santana's first time up. And obviously tough to double. He hit into one double play in 1985. Ground ball to second. One. Safe at first. No way to get Coleman unless he scorches one.
And this ball played close to the bag by Tuffle. He shovels off to Santana. They pick up the force play at second, but Coleman beats the throw to first base. Only one batter in the National League has ever gone through a complete season without hitting into a double play, and that was Augie Galland.
Old Augie. All right. I'll tell you, Ralph, you know, talking about running, Willie McGee hit into only 2 double plays last year. Coleman was very tentative on the bases. I think he'll be off early in the count tonight. Not running, and the curveball throw to first. Out at first base. A snap throw by Gary Carter nails Coleman. Boy, you talk about quick feet.
Right here, Coleman challenges Carter. He doesn't start back. And then when Carter sees he's off the bag far enough, he flips it on down, and they pick him off.
Fine throw by Carter. No runs ahead, none left. After 3, the game you expected. No score. Now here's a word from Oldsmobile.
A new import earns the right to be your car. It's not from Osaka or Tokyo, not from Milan, Stockholm, Stuttgart, or Paris. This car is imported from the middle of America. The all-new Delta 88 from Oldsmobile. For a sticker price of under $13,000, Delta 88 may raise all standards in a full-size car.
For the 4th inning, a scoreless ball game. 3 hits for the Cardinals and 2 hits for the Mets. And here's that play that ended the 3rd inning. A snap throw by Carter to get easily. Vince Coleman, I said easily, but the ball arrived way ahead of Vince. Vince looked like he was meandering back to first base. You don't want to meander unless you're coming in to call the play-by-play, huh, Steve?
I just meandered on in here.
Yeah, smooth, man.
Tim Tuffle will lead it off for the Mets. No score. Top of the 4th. And a ball. Tuffle struck out his first time up. He'll be followed by Keith Hernandez and then Gary Carter. A little bit low, and it's now 2-0. So far, we're getting pretty much what we had anticipated with these 2 guys on the mound. That's grounded foul, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike. Horton has been tough against the Mets, and of course, Dwight Gooden, although, as you and Ralph pointed out, not always as tough as he ordinarily is against the Cardinals because of the type of lineup that they have. Certainly, what is expected of the doctor every time out is at least to keep the Mets close, and he's doing that. And it's 3-1. Well hit into the gap, a base hit in left center field. Coleman can't cut it off. It'll go all the way to the wall. Tuffle will be at second with a stand-up double to lead off the 4th inning. His 4th double of the year.
Well, this is double trouble. Tim Tuffle rifles one into the gap. Watch this ball scoot by Coleman, and watch Willie McGee get to the ball. Short hop. McGee gets to it awfully quick and holds Tim Tuffle to a double. National League scoreboard, 5-0 Phillies over Pittsburgh after 5. 2-0 Houston over Cincinnati after 1.5. And coast game, San Diego hosting San Francisco, Atlanta at L.A., and Montreal over the Chicago Cubs 4-2 in extra innings today.
Keith Hernandez hits the first pitch up the middle. Tommy Herr behind second, throws out Keith, and on the play, Tuffle advances to third now with 1 out. So Hernandez, who grounded into a double play in the first, now 0 for 2.
And 0 for 5 last night in a 10-inning ball game. Not often you see Keith Hernandez taking 0 for 7. But he did that in 1 extra inning game this year against the Phillies. Remember that 14-inning game?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Carter, the hitter now.
I'd walk Carter. I wouldn't pitch to him.
Left-handed hitter Darryl Strawberry on deck.
It is. I guess what Whitey's thinking, it is early in the ball game, and if Strawberry pops one, well, then it's a 3-0 game. So he'd rather deal with 1 run. Looks like he's almost talking about that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know he's thinking about it. Strike 1 to Carter.
If you try pitching around Gary in this situation, then a wild pitch would score a run.
Tapper, Horton, and they have now. Tuffle off of third, and he's out.
Well, we said it's not often that Keith Hernandez goes 0 for 7. Not too often that Gary Carter strands a runner at third with less than 2 out. But you got to credit Ricky Horton. Not only did he make a good pitch, but he made a good play.
So Carter at first on the fielder's choice, 2 out now for Darryl Strawberry, who was retired on another good play by Horton in the 2nd inning. High and away for ball 1.
Really nothing Tuffle could do on that ball with the infield back. He was going on any ball that was hit and really didn't have the time to give Carter a chance to get to second base. So Horton made the pitch, the play, and then ran hard at Tim Tuffle to make the quick out to prevent Carter from going to second. So good play by Ricky Horton all the way around.
Carter, as you see, is not being held on by Jack Clark, who's playing behind him. And that's inside, and the count now 3-0 to Darryl. Strawberry is tied for 4th in the National League with 10 walks already this year. Bill Doran of Houston has 14 to lead the league as you look at George Foster on deck. And it's 3-1.
I think that's a good play there. Normally you'd have Strawberry swinging at that 3-0 pitch, but not against a tough left-hander like Horton with Foster on deck. Now, obviously, he's hacking.
And he fouls it away, and it's 3-2. Darryl has seen just about all the left-handed pitching he'd like to see, and the season is very young.
Opponents trying to neutralize the Mets by throwing left-handers because of Hernandez and, of course, Darryl Strawberry.
Sharply hit, and a fair ball inside the bag gets away from Jack Clark. Runners at first and second with 2 out, and an error will be charged to Jack Clark on the play.
Yeah, this is just a big league error, and Jack Clark didn't get his rear end down, and when that happens, that ball can trickle through there. Tell you, I tried to play first base on this rug here when it was a dirt infield, and it was a miserable experience. I can't tell you, I was miserable over there, and I looked it.
On and off the field, probably.
No, not off the field. No, I carried my glove well, but once I hit that position, boy, I was terrible.
Well, you can't block those balls down there like you can behind the plate.
I used to try to do it.
George Foster swings and misses for strike 1.
Now, you kid about that, and we talked about it. We touched on it before, but that's what I tried to do when I made the transition out of catching to first. I was blocking balls instead of catching them.
Not as easy as it looks. Tommy Herr had broken to second base in an effort to get Carter. Horton went ahead with a pitch, and it's ball 1, 1-1.
On the other hand, it wasn't as tough as I made it look either.
Well, it's not as easy as Hernandez makes it look.
No, you're right there, pal.
Runners at first and second. No score, top of the 4th, 2 out. outside third, and it's 1-2. George grounded to third his first time up. Carter, the runner, at second. Strawberry at first. Inside, and it's 2-2.
Ralph Kiner points out that that's the first error by the Card infield this year, and only the second error by the Cardinals.
Well, that's just another key to their success.
Yeah.
Good defense. Sharply hit in the hole. Herr is over, however, makes a fine play and throws him out, and the inning is over. A hit and 2 left, 1 error here in the fourth, but no score after 3 1/2. We're still scoreless here in St. Louis, and we're back at Busch Stadium after this for Manufacturers Hanover. Ralph Kiner back with you at Busch Stadium. 0-0 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Willie McGee will lead it off. Tom Herr and Jack Clark to follow against Dwight Gooden. McGee struck out looking his first time up, one of 2 so far recorded by the doctor.
Steve, we were talking about that miserable experience of me trying to play first base. Experiment and experience. And I've got a great story. I ran into Bobby Wine, who's the go-ahead scout for the Atlanta Braves tonight. I want to tell you a story that happened in 1973 when he was the first base coach.
Breaking ball grounded to short. 1 away.
It was the top of the 9th inning, 8-1 Phillies. Make that 8-1 Cardinals. Man on second and 2 out. Jose Cruz was the right fielder, and I was playing first. Ground ball that got through to the right side. And as I was thinking about what I'd done wrong on the ground ball, looking toward home, Jose Cruz uncorks the greatest throw of his life and nails me right in the back. I mean a BB, a seed. And I yelled back at him that it was the first time he hit the cutoff man in his life. And when he did, he nailed me, I'm telling you. And that was one of the examples of my debacle around that Primera Base.
Catching is not easy either, but at least you don't get hit in the back with a ball.
Yeah, but I was trained to be a catcher. I wasn't trained to be out there in that field. I was comfortable behind the plate because that was my home. Can't take me anywhere.
Tom Herr takes a curveball for ball 1.
Mets fans, when you've got a major league thirst, don't just reach for a beer. Head for the mountains and refreshingly smooth taste of Busch beer. Good night for it. Excuse me, Steve.
Yeah. A good night for anybody's thirst after a 93-degree day.
Woo, was it hot.
1-1 to Tom Herr, who grounded out his first time up. And Herr this year 1 for 10 against the Mets and entered the game hitting only 133. Fastball right in there. 1-2.
That's complete contrast of Herr's opening last year as he led the National League in hitting from game 1 up until about the middle of June. And that's when Willie McGee took over.
They had a real battle through the middle of the year, though. They were within a few percentage points of each other for quite a while. 2-2 now.
Last year, Tommy Herr hit .391 in April, .358 in May, .308 in June, and then .245 in July. Still ended up having a heck of a year, .302.
And he drove in 110 runs.
Man.
Ball 3, and the count is full. In fact, Tom Herr, only the 7th second baseman in National League history to drive in over 100 runs in a season. There haven't been very many that have hit third in the lineup.
Most RBIs by a Cardinals second baseman since Frankie Frisch drove in 114 in 1930.
Hernandez gets a nice hop, and they're 2 away.
Well, folks, tune into Channel 9 as the Mets continue their battle with the Cardinals. Join us for all the action Sunday afternoon. Now, check this time, if you would. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, we got to all move our clocks up an hour. Or do we just do it here in St. Louis and not in New York?
All over the country. We spring forward and we fall back.
Okay. Spring
The
forward.
only way I can remember.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Spring forward, fall back.
Sounds like the Battle of the Bulge.
We only have to do it once a year. Well, actually, twice a year.
Yeah, that's right. You got to pick it up, and then you take it back, right, later on.
Jack Clark, the batter, singled to center. One of 3 Cardinal hits as he looked at strike 1. Saw an article in the paper where there's a big lobby to have daylight savings time all year round. I'm for it.
I really have not lost one wink of sleep thinking about it.
Nor will you.
Nor will I. Matter of fact, the minute you finished just saying that, I forgot it.
Really a hot controversy going on here. Fastball grounded to short. And 3 ground balls and a 1-2-3 inning for Gooden here in the 4th inning. We are cruising along in St. Louis in a scoreless affair through 4. And we're back after this for Busch Beer. Top of the 5th inning. A real good crowd on hand as the Mets the last few years have drawn real well here in St. Louis. Of course, the Cardinals draw pretty well just about all the time.
Cardinals shooting for $2,750,000, the same amount that the Mets drew last year. But they have an outside chance of drawing $3 million, and that's really amazing when you consider the metropolitan area, Steve.
They, like Cincinnati, rely a great deal on the outlying areas and drawing from 2 or 3 different states.
Kansas City the same way. The Royals do that.
Ray Knight, the hitter, as he leads off the top of the 5th. No score. Knight lined out to right field his first time up, and he looks at ball 1. Ray working on a 5-game hitting streak. He's also hit in 7 of the 8 games in which he's played. Ball 2. Ray entered the game hitting .379. And he takes high for ball 3.
Bottom part of the lineup, Buddy Harrelson has not flashed a sign. Ray Knight may be hitting here.
Nope. 3-1.
Not even an offer.
That doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea.
No, that's true. And it does. Some guys don't like to hit 3-0. And that was an outside strike, so even if he was hitting, which he wasn't, he would have taken that anyway.
Skies this one to deep left field. And it is out of here. Ray Knight with yet another home run, his 5th of the year.
And that was the reason that I thought he might be swinging 3-0. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
you got the bottom part of the lineup, Santana and Gooden, a scoreless ball game. Give a guy who's playing a hot hand a chance to pop one. Davy Johnson waited 1 pitch, but not that 3-1 pitch. Ray turned around to the catcher, Mike LaValliere, and said, "I'll handle this one." 1-0 ball game. He had 6 home runs all of last year, and now he has 5, and we got a week to play in April. It's amazing.
And that's the first home run Ricky Horton has given up this season. The Mets on top 1-0. And here's Rafael Santana. And he grounds one in the hole, picked up by Pendleton, and one away.
You know, Steve, we got to give credit to the ladies occasionally, and we don't, I guess, getting caught up in baseball and everything, but certainly Ray Knight has given credit to his wife, Nancy Lopez Knight, who has unusually helped him as far as the game of golf is concerned, about playing one hole, not the course, not your opponents. He's transferred, talking to him at length tonight before the game about it, and he's transferred that feeling and that positive feeling about how Nancy approaches a golf course to baseball. He's made that transition, and he's made it very well. So hats off to Nancy Lopez Knight for helping Ray. I know Davy Johnson. She might be hired as a hitting instructor.
Put her on the payroll.
Yeah.
Dwight Gooden grounds out to Tom Herr, and there are 2 away. Well, Ray is very quick to give Nancy a great deal of credit whenever he is interviewed, or even a casual conversation as you had with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he really appreciates what that stability in his life has done for him. I think that and the combination of being physically well for the first time in a few years has really made him get off, or helped him get off to the good start that he has. Kevin Mitchell will be the hitter with 2 out, nobody on. A run in on Knight's home run. Mitchell 1 for 2, singled in the first inning, and then was robbed of a base hit on a fine play by Pendleton in the third. Skied to right. Van Slyke drifting. And the inning is over. 1 hit and 1 run on Ray Knight's 5th homer of the year here in the 5th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th with New York now leading 1-0 after this for Burger King. Not hit his 5th home run last year until August 15th. Has hit his 5th tonight to give the Mets a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. And coming in to call it for you, here's Tim McCarver.
Dwight Gooden against Ricky Horton. 1-0 ball game, bottom of 5. The Cardinals had an opportunity to score in the second when Jack Clark led off with a base hit. And after Andy Van Slyke struck out, Terry Pendleton singled Clark to third, but Mike Lavaliere grounded into a 3-6-3 double play. Gooden has struck out 2 and walked none. One and 0 to Andy Van Slyke. Andy batted only .259 last year. However, he was the on-deck batter when Jack Clark hit that home run in Game 6. And Tommy Lasorda admitted it, that he didn't want to walk Clark to pitch to Van Slyke because he didn't have a left-hander ready. With the exception of Carlos Diaz, who was warming up at the time, but Tommy felt like he was going to go with his best, and that was Tom Niedenfuhr. 2-0 to Van Slyke. Grounded foul. 2-1.
Well, the Cardinals right now as a ball club have not been hitting. Van Slyke's now down to .212. And you look at their lineup, Coleman, McGee, both down there in the 230s. Kerr's hitting under 150. Clark's only hitting .234 at the start of play. And I think that's one reason their stolen bases are down. I mean, yeah, they've stolen 22, but I mean, for them, they just have not been getting on base.
Line to left. Foster makes the catch. George dropped the ball off the bat of Jack Clark last night. It appeared that he had trouble with the lights, and the same thing tonight. Blow liners give outfielders problems occasionally.
Well, end the rush hour with the news you don't have to rush home for. Join the award-winning Channel 9 News team for News 9 at a more convenient hour. Weeknights at 8. News 9 prime time. Only on Channel 9.
Terry Pendleton, the batter. Terry, a base hit in the second inning to send Clark to third, as we said. Fastball is high, 1-0. Terry from Los Angeles, 5'9", 180 pounds, 25 years old. Curveball is low, 2-0. In 6 starts against the Cardinals last year, Dwight was 2-1, a 1.7, and a check swing. Boy, does a hitter hate to do that with a count 2-0.
When the count's in your favor, you should be looking in a zone or an area that you like to hit the ball in. And if you get something there, you take a good cut at it. If you don't swing at all.
I think Ralph explains it very well about that little box. You know, the deeper the count that you're ahead in, you just get the box and you concise it a little bit. As Kevin Mitchell makes the catch, and they're 2 away. When you're a defensive hitter, you got to have a bigger strike zone because it might be you don't want to be called out on strikes. Well, 2-0 and 3-1. Little box, that imaginary box that every hitter draws for himself out in that hitting area. That'll leave your feet.
You make it as small as possible.
Yeah. Mike LaValliere grounded into a double play his first time up. Curveball is low.
If Lon Chaney was the man of 1,000 faces, Mike LaValliere is the man of 1,000 nicknames. You and Ralph were talking about Smokey.
Went too far, 1-1. Called by Ed Montague, the third base umpire.
They also call him Spanky after Spanky McFarland in the Our Gang comedy.
Oh, no.
There's the third-string catcher, Fred Bird.
Another strike. Letter high, 1-2. Our friend Fred Bird, the animated mascot of the Cardinals. Curveball is high, 2-2.
He has an excuse for being lethargic tonight. It's warm.
Curveball got him. Third strikeout for Gooden in an easy inning. Dwight's now retired 7 in a row. And after 5, it's the Mets 1 and the Cardinals nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Top of the 6th inning, Tim Tuffle, who doubled his last time up, is the batter. A 1-0 lead for the Mets. Ray Knight's 5th home run of the year. Tuffle 1 for 2. Strike 1. Jammed with a high fastball, so Timmy in the hole, 0-2. And a high chopper. Horton will have to hurry. Got him. Good play by Ricky Horton. He's showing that he is a fine athlete. University of Virginia star.
Well, we saw a couple of good athletes last night on the pitching mound for each team, making good plays. And Horton has made 3 now so far in this ball game. And boy, a pitcher can really help himself by fielding his position well.
Keith Hernandez, the batter. Keith 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 7 in the series. Entered the game batting .267. Ball 1.
Keith is only 1 for 11 against the Cardinals this year.
Slider misses, 2-0.
But the Cardinal pitching staff has been tough. They have thrown left-handers at the Mets, as we were talking earlier. Most clubs are doing.
Good strike on the corner, 2-1.
And the Cardinals losing 4 in a row really can't look to their pitching for a great deal of blame because they're number 2 in the league in ERA at 2.65.
Ground ball toward first. Fair ball. Clark will take it himself. 2 away.
And here's what else is happening in the National League right now. Philadelphia is leading Pittsburgh 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Houston leads Cincinnati 2-0 in the top of the 6th. San Francisco at San Diego, Atlanta at Los Angeles later on. And this afternoon, Montreal defeated Chicago 4-2. Reardon got the win in relief, and Keogh the loss.
And it's 1-0 here at Busch Stadium. A beautiful view of this fine complex. Gary Carter, the batter, he's 0 for 2. And it's 1-0 to Gary. Gary has a 10-game hitting streak. His high for his career, 13 back in '79. 1-1.
And a lot of those hits during that 10-game hitting streak have been big ones because Gary has driven in 4 game-winning RBIs among his total of 15 coming into play today, tied with Jeff Leonard of San Francisco for the RBI lead in the National League with 15.
He leads the major leagues in game-winning RBIs with, as you said, 4. 2-1 to Gary Carter. I mentioned Ricky Horton went to the University of Virginia. He has a younger brother playing baseball at the University of Virginia now, senior year, down in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Where Tim McCarver's oldest daughter goes to school.
Yes, sir. 3-1 to Gary Carter. That is a beautiful place. Old Tommy Jeff knew what he was doing. Handle that deal. The rotunda and
have you been to his home?
Monticello? Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Always wanted to go.
3-2 to Carter. Thomas Jefferson, a very versatile player in his day. Played all positions well.
He was quite a fellow.
Indeed he was. Full count to Gary Carter. 2 out, nobody on. And he held up, so Gary draws a base on balls, and with Carter at first, 2 out, the batter Darryl Strawberry.
First walk issued by Horton. Gooden has not walked the batter. It's been a very well-pitched game.
Strawberry on an error by Jack Clark his last time up. And he's grounded to Horton, but this is a base knock. Fielded by Van Slyke. Carter stops at second, so George Foster will have one more chance to pick up an RBI here.
Darryl with that long, powerful stroke, and this ball gets out there in such a hurry. Van Slyke had it on one hop, and Carter was only halfway to second base.
So Lavalier out to talk to Ricky Horton. George Foster with his first game-winning RBI in last night's game when he stroked a single to left in the 10th inning. George 0 for 2 tonight.
George has hit in 7 of his last 8 games. And he entered the ninth in the National League in batting average at .314. Of course, Johnny Ray is unreal so far, leading at .455 at the start of play.
Fouls this one back, so it's 0-1 to George Foster. That was hittable right there. That ball out over the plate where George can extend those arms. Ground ball, and it's foul. Pendleton taking no chances. Neither was Gary Carter.
Appropriately noted, Carter hustling all the way. And that's the way the game should be played, with neither player taking anything for granted. And this ball just barely fouled. But it is outside the bag. Ed Montague making the call, and Pendleton, not being able to see Ed Montague, goes through with the play.
0-2 pitch. Fastball misses tight. 1-2. There's Whitey Herzog. Been the manager of the year twice in the National League, once in the American League. Ground ball, another fine play by Ricky Horton. He has really helped himself all night long. The Mets with a hit, they strand 2, and they lead 1-0 after 5.5. We go to the middle of the 6th after this word from Bud Light.
For you in the 7th inning, Cleveland leads the Yankees at Yankee Stadium 3-2. Also in the 7th, it's Detroit over Chicago 7-2. In the 7th inning, Toronto and Baltimore are scoreless. Alexander against Davis in that one. In the 5th inning, Milwaukee leading Texas 4-0. In the bottom of the 5th, California, Minnesota tied 2-2, and in the 6th, Kansas City leading Boston 3-0.
All right, Steve, and here at Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, the second game of a 4-game series, and it is a dandy. That's what happens when these two teams meet. 1-0 Mets.
Excuse me, Timmy. It's almost a playoff-type atmosphere, and it has been since opening day.
Curveball is low, 1-0. Like those Thomas Edison days. Early electricity, huh? April electricity. Line base hit to right. So Smith on there to lead off the 6th inning. And last night, if you remember, that was the inning in which the Cardinals scored 3 runs.
Well, the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on Channel 9 with the New York Rangers face off with the Washington Capitals. Be sure to catch all the action tonight immediately following the Mets-Cardinals game here on Channel 9.
How about those Rangers?
We don't know what they're doing tonight, but they have been scrapping and fighting.
Didn't win an overtime game all season, and they've won 2 in the playoffs. Horton up there to bunt. Knight on top of him at third. And the bunt is foul. Boy, Smith got down there in a hurry, didn't he? Man,
I was shocked when I looked up. He was standing on the bag at second base. Gary Carter did the right thing by letting that ball drop because he had no chance to get Smith, and that, of course, would be the optimum situation.
Ozzie has 3 stolen bases. Horton a base hit his first time up. The Cardinals with 4 hits, the Mets with 5, and the Mets with a tenuous 1-0 lead. Another bunt, back to Gooden, to second. Got him at second. Dwight Gooden may have hurt himself on the throw.
Well, that'll put a manager's throat, or heart rather, in his throat, seeing Dwight Gooden go down to his knees, or rather hands on his knees after making this play. Dwight knew he had to hurry, and he did not have a chance to make a step towards second base. And he had to throw, dragging his arm across his body. And he got his feet tangled up a little bit and looked like he put a lot of pressure on that right elbow in making that throw. Also might have twisted his knee. It did look like that, Tim, too, because he went down a little bit and put his hands on his knees after he made the throw. And he's going to take a few here to be sure he's all right.
See, sometimes that'll happen because the pitcher wearing those spikes, a lot of times those spikes will slip on the rug, and that's what appeared to happen then.
Trainer Steve Garland out along with manager Dave Johnson.
And also, he had that sprained ankle, a very controversial thing that happened last December, and that is heavily taped.
Obviously, Davey Johnson does not want to take any chances, and he was, I think, right there trying to get Gooden to just be straight with him and tell him exactly how he felt, because a ball game is one thing, but the career, and certainly on a shorter perspective, this season, as far as Gooden is concerned, is far more important. Here it is again. Horton bunting it right back to Gooden, and Dwight, knowing that he has to hurry, tries to turn, and you see his spike get caught. I couldn't tell whether it really got hung up or if it did sort of kick loose on him. But in any event, it took a lot of torque on that knee when he made the throw.
So there's Horton at first. Gooden appears to be all right. Strangest thing to see him in any way injured, because we haven't seen Davey Johnson go out to the mound hardly ever. Popped up left field. Kevin Mitchell over. 2 out.
Center fielder, Willie McGee.
Yeah, when Gooden is on the mound, Davey rarely has to leave the dugout for any reason.
That's right. That's kind of what I wanted to say. I didn't say it that well, but that's where I was headed. Willie McGee the batter with 2 out.
Well, it was a good point, no matter how you put it.
McGee 0 for 2 on the night. 1-0 Mets. Swing and a miss. Ground ball to short. The Mets are out of it. No run runs a hit and 1 left here in the 6th inning. And after 6, it's 1-0 New York. Ralph Kiner joins Steve after this word from Amoco Gas.
Well, there's Dwight Gooden in the dugout, and he appears to be all right. He pitched the last few pitches. He pitched to the last hitter up there, Willie McGee, a fastball and a breaking ball, quite well, so I guess he is all right. But Steve Garland, the trainer, is still sitting right next to him just in case. And as we go to the 7th inning with the Mets out in front 1-0, back into work the final 3 with me. Here's Ralph Kiner.
Dwight not worried about his ankle at all. He's putting on his batting glove. He's thinking about hitting.
He's scheduled up 3rd in this inning, and he does love to swing the bat.
It'll be Ray Knight, Rafael Santana, and Dwight Gooden for the Mets as they bat here in the top of the 7th inning. Mets 1 run on 5 base hits. Cardinals have no runs on 4. And the big hit in the ball game, Ray Knight's 5th home run to tie him for the National League lead. Back in the 5th inning. Took a 3-1 fastball over the left field fence. Ray now with his 6-game hitting streak has tied his high for last year. And Ricky Horton's fastball drilled to left center field. Coleman is coming up on it, and he makes a sliding grab. And did he make the catch? He did. Vince Coleman sliding in under that ball to grab it.
Well, there aren't many left fielders that could probably make this play in the National League, but Vince Coleman runs as well as anybody. Makes a fine play here. And to the credit of second base umpire Dutch Rennert, Dutch was way out there to make the call because it was a tough call to make from any distance.
A little break dancing on that play. So 1 away, and Rafael Santana, the batter. Rafael 1 for 2 tonight. Single to left field back in the 3rd. Get the fastball outside.
Get a lot of rug burns if you break dance on this stuff, though. Eat you alive.
1 ball, 1 strike. Rafael hitting 143 for the year. Last year, Rafael hit 257. Line drive over the head of Ozzie Smith, and Santana with his 2nd hit of the night. Rafael on at first base with 1 man out, and that'll bring up Dwight Gooden.
Santana appears to be out of that slump. He was 1 for 21, and he's picked up 4 hits in the last 3 ball games.
Gooden sacrificed back in 3rd. He also has grounded out, so he's 0 for 1. He squares and bunts it foul.
And Doc's probably disappointed Santana got on base. He doesn't get to swing away.
They might switch right here, though. Gooden, a fine hitter, set a club record for hits by a pitcher with his 21 last year. Breaking a record held by Tom Seaver. Toss over the 1st. Squares again, and again he bunts it foul. When Gooden sacrificed back in the 3rd inning, he sacrificed on a pitch that just about was on the ground.
He's a low ball bunter.
Squares again, and this time he bunts it, and a play for Ricky Horton at first base only, as Santana hustles down to 2nd to negate a chance for a force play there. So a runner in scoring position for Kevin Mitchell.
Well, Ricky Horton had an idea here about going to second base, and it would have been a very tough play, so he did the proper thing, and that is take a more sure out.
Mitchell in this game has a single in 3 appearances. He was robbed of an RBI and a base hit in the 3rd inning on a fine play by Pendleton. Hard smash to Pendleton's left. Pendleton gloved it. Strike 1. Mitchell hitting .333. 6 hits and 18 at-bats this year in the major leagues. One ball, one strike. Horton as a starter with a record of 9 wins and 5 losses. As a relief pitcher, he is 3-1. Drive to deep center field. Going back is Willie McGee. He can't get to it. It is off the wall. Perfectly played by McGee, but Mitchell in with a double, and scoring on the play, Rafael Santana, and the Mets lead by a score of 2-0. A hard smash by Kevin Mitchell.
Davey Johnson is finding out that platooning isn't all that bad. It's worked fairly well at second base, and now it's working fairly well in center field, where Dykstra and Mitchell are platooning. And with all the left-handers the Mets have been seeing, Mitchell getting a great opportunity after making this ball club, having an outstanding spring and showing his versatility. And he has really come through.
And now it's Pat Perry throwing in the bullpen for the Cardinals. And Tuffle goes after a fastball. If you're wondering about Mookie Wilson, you're looking at Tuffle at the plate. Mookie has been moved to Tidewater, and he'll be playing at Tidewater to play himself into shape to rejoin the ball club.
And all the reports we've gotten, Ralph, have been very positive.
He is the other Met outfielder, and when he comes back into playing condition, he was injured in spring training when he was hit in the eye with glasses on that shattered and cut him up. Mets have a problem when he'll come back, but a good problem. 1 ball, 1 strike as Mitchell leads off at second. Mets leading 2-0. And the batter, Tim Tuffle. Tuffle with a double and 3 times up. Just missed with a fastball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Horton came into this game with a record of 0-1. The Cardinals have scored only 1 run for him this year. Now the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. Mitchell holds at second. In 22 innings, the Cardinals have scored just 1 run for Ricky Horton.
Well, you know, there seems to be, Ralph, on every ball club, a pitcher who gets very little support. In fact, between innings, Tim and I were talking about that, about Dwight Gooden. The Mets usually do not score a lot of runs for Dwight, which makes his success all that much more amazing.
Well, Gooden's a very lucky pitcher. The other teams seldom score many runs when he pitches.
So he doesn't need a lot of offensive support. But there does seem to be a guy on each staff that just doesn't get the help.
3-1 pitch, and it's hit foul. Long drive, but foul. So the count goes to 3-2. Paid crowd here tonight, 43,721. Cardinals are hoping to do $3 million this year. That would be almost unbelievable. Have over 45,000 in the house tonight. After this weekend, they will have averaged 40,000 for every opening. 3-2. And it is popped up. Ozzie Smith in the shallow left center making the call. And he makes a catch, and that'll do it. So 1 run in the inning on 2 hits, 1 left at second to score at the end of 6.5. The Mets 2, the Cardinals nothing. Now here's a word from Bud Light.
Silver anniversary of the Mets franchise. And to commemorate this landmark anniversary, the Mets have put together a sleek 25th anniversary book entitled The New York Mets, the First Quarter Century. The book is the official 25th anniversary book of the Mets, and it says so right on the silver cover. To get your copy of the Mets official 25th anniversary book, send a check or money order made payable to the New York Mets for $17.95 plus $3 for shipping and handling. That's a total of $20.95 to Promotion Graphics, Department L, 160 Barrack Street, New York, New York, 10013, and get your 25th anniversary book.
And it'll be Tommy Herr to lead off for the Cardinals. A change in the outfield for the Mets. Kevin Mitchell, who drove in the second run for the Mets, has left the ball game. And Len Dykstra has taken over in center. And Herr takes inside for ball 1. Herr has no hits and 2 at-bats in this ball game. Last year he drove in over 100 runs with less than 10 home runs. Last to do that was George Kell back in 1950. Ground ball to Keith Hernandez. And her is out.
Daniel in the Lion's Den and the story of Joseph come to life in the greatest heroes of the Bible. Robert Vaughn and David Burney had an all-star cast Saturday night at 8 on the $1 Million Movie here on Channel 9.
That'll bring up Jack Clark. Jack 1 for 2 tonight. Singled in the second. Grounded out in the 4th inning. Mets leading 2-0. 2 runs on 7 hits. The Cardinals have no runs on 4. And the first pitch hit high in the air to right field. Strawberry with plenty of time to get under it. And he makes the catch. So 2 pitches and 2 men away. That'll bring up Andy Van Slyke. Andy is 0 for 2 in the game.
And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets, and WOR TV is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. And any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR TV is prohibited. I feel like your neighborhood booth announcer here.
Well, the disclaimer out of the way, and now it's Andy Van Slyke. And Gooden starts him off with a curveball. Van Slyke in this game 0 for 2. Last year, a .259 batter with 13 home runs and 55 RBI. Fastball fouled back out of play.
Van Slyke's batting average now is down to .206. He's not the only slumping Cardinal. But the Cardinals now in danger of losing their 5th in a row, and they are in a team batting slump. Really, Ozzie Smith, the only one to be hitting the ball.
And the curveball for a ball, 1-2. The Cardinals came into this game with a team batting average of .221. The Mets are leading the National League with a team batting average of .279.
Cardinals are next to last. Only the Dodgers at .206 have a worse team batting average than St. Louis.
Struck him out, so Gooden picks up his 4th strikeout and a 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of 7. It's the Mets 2 and the Cardinals nothing. Now here's a word from Oldsmobile. Bruce Bereni on the left side of your screen, and Rick Aguilera throwing. Aguilera due to pitch against Atlanta next week. So both are loosening up, not for this ball game. As we go to the top of the 8th inning with the Mets leading by a score of 2-0. It'll be Keith Hernandez to lead off, and Keith in this series is 0 for 8. Ricky Horton with a breaking ball, and it swung on for strike 1. In Keith's last game here, which was in the battle for first place, he had 4 base hits. This ball drilled to right. If it's fair, could be extra bases. It is just foul. So Keith missing a home run by a matter of a foot.
Well, I'll tell you, Ralph, that was a very, very delayed call by Lee Wire, the first base umpire. This ball is very close. Is there a screen up there on that foul pole? If there is, I can't see it.
It's there. And
obviously, the reason it's there is because if it hits the screen and comes back down, that's how you tell it is fair.
Screen is in fair territory, and Keith has to do a dance as he gets away from the inside fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, there you can see the net, the mesh there. Lee Wire waited a long time before signaling foul ball.
Keith has not had a home run this year. He has driven in 5. Last year, Keith with 91 RBI. And our ground ball foul. And Keith throws the bat away. We'll have to get another piece of wood.
Well, they used to cheer Keith here, but when he came back in a Mets uniform about 2.5 years ago, they booed him unmercifully. It subsided a little bit as time went on, but he was a little upset because he broke his bat, and didn't like the way he approached that pitch.
Probably more about that than anything else, about the way he swung at that ball. He is a very disciplined hitter and a very organized hitter. Again, the 1-2 pitch. And he drills at the right field. Van Slyke can't get to it. He takes it on the one hop, and Hernandez has his first hit of the series. Leadoff single right in the 8th inning with the Mets leading by a score of 2-0. That'll bring up Gary Carter. Carter's 10-game hitting streak is in jeopardy. He is 0 for 2 tonight with a walk.
Gary's career hitting streak, 13 games when he was with Montreal.
Cardinals not looking for the sacrifice, and a throw to first base. And it's Pat Perry throwing once again for the Cardinals. Both sides used 5 pitchers in last night's marathon. And Carter fights off a fastball, fouls it away, strike one. Ricky Horton on the mound for the Cardinals. And the breaking ball for a ball. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Horton makes his home in Hyde Park, New York. Speaks Spanish fluently. Ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike.
They loved him in the winter leagues when he played down in the Caribbean and South American leagues because the media down there could interview him in Spanish. He was a big hit.
He also negotiates his own contract, which is rather unusual in today's market of agents for ball players. In the dirt, blocked by Lavalier. And the count now 3 balls and 1 strike.
What's the old saying? An attorney who represents himself as a fool for a client?
That's what they say.
Not that he's an attorney, but he does have a degree in economics. That's a contract he better be happy with. He can't blame anybody else.
Three and 1 for Ricky Horton as he works with Hernandez at first base and Carter at the plate. And it's ball 4, and that puts runners at first and second. Second walk by Horton. And the Mets now with runners at first and second with no one out, and Darryl Strawberry up, and here comes Mike Rourke, the pitching coach.
Both those walks have been issued to Gary Carter. And I'm sure that if there is one hitter in the Mets lineup that Ricky Horton is most concerned about, it is Carter, being a right-hander and being red hot. And he has pitched to him very, very carefully.
So Waddy Herzog looks on. Waddy personally has picked the Mets to win this year. He says the Mets think they have won the last 2 years. Of course, the Cardinals won last year and the Cubs the year before. Mets with the best record in the National League over the last 2 years. And Darryl Strawberry, the batter, he hits it down the line, a fair ball. This will score 1, maybe more. Hernandez comes in to score. That's leading by a score of 3-0. Carter goes to third and then holds up as Coleman bobbles the ball in left. And Strawberry rounded second and almost went over to third. But with no one out, Bud Harrelson playing it safely. And the Mets get one and have runners in scoring position. Mets leading by a score of 3-0, and Waddy Herzog to make a pitching change.
Well, Buddy Harrelson stopped Gary Carter before he saw Coleman bobble the ball. Coleman appeared to come up with it at first. Gary might have been able to score, but as you said, it was the appropriate call. And we'll be right back after this from NYNEX.
He's a little skinny guy.
I figured we could help him. Knew we couldn't work miracles, but we could help him. He says he's here to help us. Listen from this.
Clint Hurdle in right field as Whitey Herzog makes a double switch. The pitcher, Pat Perry, will bat in Andy Van Slyke's place, and Clint Hurdle will bat in the pitcher's position, which will be the fourth position up in the next half inning. Pat Perry in relief of Ricky Horton.
Now here's Strawberry's double down the line and just inside the bag. Hernandez scoring easily, and Gary Carter running for all he's worth. Now Coleman appears to come up with the ball, and that's when Bud Harrelson stopped Carter, and appropriately so, at third base. But then, as you saw, Coleman bobbled the ball in attempting to throw it. Carter probably could have scored, but Ralph, as you pointed out, quite appropriately, with nobody out, and the Mets having a 3-run lead at this point and 2 runners in scoring position, take no chances.
And Perry will walk George Foster to get the right-hand batter out of the way, load up the bases, and set up a force play all the way around. No one out, and Foster is walked intentionally. Perry with a record of 1 win and 1 loss. He has no saves, and he has an earned run average of 3.00. So Ray Knight to bat with the bases loaded. It was Ray's home run back in the 5th inning that gave the Mets a 1-0 lead. He has hit the ball well 3 times. Lined out to right in the 3rd, homered in the 5th, and was robbed of a base hit on a diving catch by Coleman in the 7th inning. So the infield in for a play at the plate. Bases loaded, no one out, and Ray Knight, a hot batter, up. Mets leading 3-0. And a fastball hit to right center field. It'll score a run. McGee makes a catch. Tagged up at third is Carter. He comes in to score, and the Mets are leading by a score of 4-0 as Knight hits it hard again.
Knight has hit 4 tremendous shots in this game, 3 line drives and a deep home run up into the left field pavilion. There are some center fielders that might not have gotten to this ball, but Willie McGee makes it look like an easy play. The throw comes into the shortstop, Ozzie Smith. No play on Carter. So it's 4-0 for Knight, his 10th RBI of the year and his 2nd of the game.
And Rafael Santana, the batter. Perry with his delivery, it's called a strike. Santana with 2 hits and 3 times up also has scored 1. So he is showing signs of breaking out of his prolonged batting slump. He had a shot of 1 for 21. That's not good medicine.
in capsule or tablet form.
And the pitch is low, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
Rafi was 0 for 19 before he got that 1 hit to make him 1 for 21.
Strawberry at second base, Foster at first. And a foul tip. Santana hit .257 last year. On deck batter, Dwight Gooden. Perry made his major league debut against the Mets back in 1985. And it's fouled away again. He retired 10 in a row in his debut against the Mets without giving up a base hit. Finally, Pachorik came through with a single to center field. Went after a low pitch and chopped it foul. So the count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And Santana appears to have fouled that ball off his foot as he's hobbling around. This ball's almost on the ground, and then it might have bounced right off his front toe. One of many from the Dominican Republic. Lives in La Romana. Strawberry at second base, Foster at first. Mets leading 4-0, 1 man out, top of the 8th inning.
1-2. Buddy Herzog stoically looking on. His team won 101 games last year. The Mets won 98. And it's popped up down in foul territory on the first base side, and it'll be in the stands out of play.
On that pitch, Strawberry was running to third. Foster stayed at first, but Darrell was off and running.
Perry did not play ball in high school. There you see Strawberry taking off. But the foul ball puts him back at second base. Two and two the count. Back to the middle, off of Perry, over toward the first base side. He bobbles the ball and trying to pick it up. Strawberry coming in to score. The ball thrown into the dugout. And Foster goes to third and now on to home on the error. And the Mets pick up two. So we'll wait and see how it's scored. Could be a base hit. There will be an error.
They have given in Santana a base hit and then charged an error on Pat Perry, the pitcher. Right back off Perry's leg. It was a sharply hit ball that could have been turned into a double play had he let the ball go through. And he tried to pick it up with his glove, Ralph, and make the tag all in one motion. Strawberry hustling all the way scores. A throw from Perry well over LaVallier's head and into the New York dugout. Since Foster was already at third base, he is awarded home, and Santana gets to go over to third.
And now the batter will be Dwight Gooden, and he fouls off the first pitch. Mets leading by a score of 6-0 as they have scored 4 here in the top of the 8th inning.
And uncharacteristically, that's the Cardinals' second error in this game.
They had made only one error coming to this ball game all season. And Gooden fouls off another fastball, strike 2. 3 of the 4 runs will go against Horton's record. The other against Perry. Santana, the runner at third base, with one man out. And Gooden lines it into left field for a base hit. Santana scores. The Mets are leading by a score of 7-0.
Well, Doc will be talking about this until his next start, at least. One out and a runner at third. Boy, he loves this kind of situation. He gets a clean, sharp single to left to drive in his first run of the year. Right over the attempt by Ozzie Smith.
First RBI for Dwight, his 3rd hit of the year. And now the batter will be Len Dykstra, and he grounds it foul. Dykstra batting for the first time. Dykstra hitting at .308 for the year with no home runs and 2 runs batted in.
Gooden not going to the jacket, we might note.
That'll make Tim McCarver happy. And that pitch a ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Dykstra taking over defensively for Kevin Mitchell. Mitchell make it 2 for 4 in the ball game. Got a big double in the 7th to drive in the Mets' 2nd run. And another foul ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
For the 8th Met to bat in this inning. And a
shot into right field, another base hit. Gooden to second base and holding there as Hurdle gets it back in, and the Mets continue their onslaught.
Well, New York, the #1 hitting team in the National League, and they're showing why in this ball game. 9 hits off Ricky Horton and 3 more now off Pat Perry. Whitey's looked indecisive about whether to stay in the dugout or head for the clubhouse there.
And it brings up the 9th batter to bat in this inning, Tim Tuffle. Tuffle 1 for 4. His 1 base hit, a double back in the 4th inning. The runners at first and second, still 1 man out. And a strike call. Tuffle hitting .229 for the year. And this one out to right field. Hurdle back into fairly deep right center. Gooden tags at second. And he now goes over to third, and the Cardinals pick up the second out of the inning. Gooden at third base, Dykstra at first, and Hernandez, who started this inning with a single, bats for the second time. Mets leading 7-0. 5 runs here in the top of the 8th inning. And Pat Perry to work to Keith Hernandez. And the fastball fouled back.
Well, you know, Rob, to a certain degree, the left-handers that the Mets have seen have had an effect on Strawberry and Hernandez because neither one of them are off to a great start. But the strategy certainly hasn't worked as far as slowing the ball club down.
A drive that is foul. The Mets have a record of 4-2 against left-hand pitching. Of course, another one on the plus side if they can hold on to the 7-0 lead. That would put them at 5-2 against left-hand pitching.
Plus, they came into the game with a .283 team batting average, best in the National League, and that's only going to be enhanced tonight with 12 base hits so far.
Gooden at third, Dykstra at first, and Keith fouls off the low fastball. Mets working on a 6-game winning streak. Their last loss was to the Cardinals at Shea Stadium.
And I think all those things, Ralph, focus in a little bit on Ray Knight and the hot start that he has had and what he's been able to do getting the opportunity to play.
And they tried to release him earlier in the year, tried to trade him off. This ball hit in the air to center field. McGee is there. And that'll do it. But 5-run score in the inning. On 5 hits, there was 1 error and 2 men left on. And the score at the end of 7.5 innings, the Mets